I think the first time that I started dropping sort of cryptic clues and things in my music was when I was 14 and 15 putting together my first album.
We're talking about Easter eggs.
She hides them everywhere, like in what she wears, in the color of her nails, in her lyrics, in jewelry, in social posts.
If you want to go down a rabbit hole with us, come along.
Taylor is your person.
Great.
Yeah, the water's fine.
Going to a Taylor Swift concert is not just for the music, it's for the experience. Then you come out of there feeling euphoric. That's the kind of feeling you want when someone experiences your brand or your product. You want them to say the overall experience is what keeps me coming back for more.
This is the best thing I've ever seen.
That. Let's talk about that.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Memorable?
Well, then be less boring.
Boring?
Remarkable.
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 I'm Ian Faison, CEO of Caspian Studios. You're listening to Remarkable. This week, we're talking marketing lessons from Taylor Swift.
I'm Taylor. I'm Taylor. I'm Taylor. I'm Taylor. I'm Taylor. It's Taylor.
Bye, Japan, it's Taylor Swift.
Hey guys, it's Taylor.
With the help of our special guest, Chief Marketing Officer at Pete & Gerry's Organics, Phyllis, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Excited to chat with you. We're going to chat marketing. We're going to chat eggs. We're going to chat Tay-Tay and everything in between. So why the heck did you pick Taylor Swift to talk about today?
So I have both personal and professional reasons for this. One is I'm a huge fan. I don't know if I would put me as like a top Swiftie, but I am a Swiftie. I've always been. I have a daughter and she grew up basically going to concerts with me, and we've seen her 4 times at Gillette Stadium, including the most recent Eras tour. And I've always just admired her, both because I think her music's wonderful and I'm just impressed at how she's been able to create such an amazing body of work over such a illustrious career. But I also think she's just really smart and she's just been a really good businesswoman. So when I thought about the question of, who would we want to talk about related to, Hollywood or celebrities or culture, I started thinking, and what next to marketing, I started thinking, who's one of the best storytellers of our time? And she really is an amazing storyteller. And not just the way that her lyrics and the way she links things together, but how she reinforces it through so many different media, whether it's her documentaries or her videos or her social, just content-wise. She strings together stories and actually makes you feel them in a way that very few artists are able to do. So it became kind of a natural choice when you posed the question in the first place.
Amazing. And zooming out, tell us about your role at Pete & Gerry's.
Sure. I'm the CMO of Pete & Gerry's. We are the country's largest premium egg producer. We have been around for about 30 years or so. And we play in the pasture-raised and premium and free-range organic space for eggs. The company has just a very strong purpose and mission in terms of our commitment to animal welfare, to our family farmers, and to our communities in which we participate. And so when it was time for me to look for a new opportunity a few years ago, I decided that going to join a company that was truly mission-based was going to be something that I wanted to do. I love the food and beverage space. I love eggs. I mean, who doesn't love eggs?
Seriously.
And we could talk about those forever. It's in New Hampshire. I live in Massachusetts. So it was a great fit for me in terms of being able to be on site and work closely with my team. And so from a marketing perspective, we do everything that you can imagine related to marketing. We do, I build brands. I'm trying to make sure that the awareness is first and foremost of just who we are and why people should choose us. We are, build content and communications and messaging. We are very active in the digital space. We're very active in store, as well as on e-commerce. And I have a team that is just small but mighty and really delivers on our mission each and every day.
Meredith, what's your favorite egg-based meal?
Ooh, I actually make lately for breakfast I've been making like soft scrambled egg and rice with green onion and soy sauce. It is so good. I saw it on Instagram. I was like, gotta try it. It's delicious.
That's a great.
What is yours?
Very good.
What about you, Phyllis?
So I'm a big poached egg fan. To me, it's just the purest way to get the eggs. And if you have a high quality egg, there's to me nothing better. Now, granted, you can do lots of things with poached eggs, like put them on salads or in soups or eggs Benedict, which is a fan favorite. So that's kind of my go-to, although I will never turn down a good deviled egg either.
Oh,
So
I like
good.
that. Have you ever seen the meme where it's like, would you like to eat 6 eggs? No, I could never do that. It's like, how about if I cut them in half and covered them in
Mayonnaise.
paprika?
Oh, so
It's like,
good.
yes.
We had an egg flight bar last fall when we were launching our organic pasture raised, and we did a media brunch in New York. And so we had these half, to your point, cut in half hard-boiled eggs, and then toppings that everybody could put on them, like smoked salmon or caviar. And there were so many people who walked away and said, I think I just ate a dozen eggs. Like they just kept
They're too good. That's amazing.
I like, I love a poached egg as well. Fun fact, the first meal that my wife, which is before she was my wife, made me, is she made me eggs Benedict. And I always joke with her that it was the last time that she made me eggs Benedict because it's like, I was like, man, because she used to be a chef. And so she's an incredible cook. And so I always joke that was the last time that she made me eggs Benedict, even though she makes wonderful meals 24/7 all the time. But I always joke. And so it came out and she's like, I don't know, that the poached eggs aren't exactly right. So, you'll have to deal with that. And I remember being like, I'm like, a single guy. I'm like, I use a George Foreman for everything. So I don't even know how to poach an egg or what that even means.
It's one of those dishes where you can make a poached egg in the microwave and it's still pretty decent, but to get a really perfect poached egg is technically challenging.
You know what? You've motivated me. We'll do it this weekend. We're doing poached eggs.
Do it.
Yeah, she's also, just while we're on the egg subject, she has mastered the art of the hard-boiled egg. She makes like the best. They're like somewhere between hard-boiled and soft-boiled egg sort of consistency, and super easy to peel. And so my son we eat a lot of eggs. Also, another cute Faison family fact while we're talking about it. My daughter, who's 1, she loves the yolks, and my son loves the whites. And so I'm like, and they're both like, she likes crusts. Like she's amazing. And so they like they literally finish each other's sandwiches.
That's
perfect.
To borrow a phrase. Okay. Oh, I didn't answer my egg. I love eggs Benny. I also love an egg on a burger. That's always great.
Yes.
And then there's this like chili kind of aioli thing that my wife puts on her eggs. That's like
fried egg. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a fried egg with like a chili, and she, whenever she makes eggs, I just like stare at it with a puppy dog face until I steal some.
So she shares. The fun fact about hard-boiled eggs, it is our #1 searched recipe. I mean, we have hundreds of recipes on our website.
Yeah.
And we're always posting new things. And people just are so curious about the best way to hard-boil eggs and how much time for each consistency, to your point, around a jammy egg, and how long that should be versus a hard-boiled versus a soft-boiled. It's amazing, the amount of content. can generate.
That's right. I know, it's great. Well, and that's we'll get into the fun part here in a second, but that's the fun part, right? Is like it's the ultimate sort of like the best product marketing is showing the finished result, not not how the sausage is made.
Right.
Although I know you do a lot of that in your marketing as well. So yeah, no, it's great. And it matters. That's the other funny thing. Like, it really does matter, right? It's like, if it takes you forever to peel off that shell, goodness gracious.
Yeah. Then you kind of get mad at the egg.
Yeah.
Sort of oddly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And yourself. A fair amount of self-loathing in there as well. Meredith, we're going to keep talking about eggs. We're talking about Easter eggs.
That's right.
And Taylor Swift. Tell us about Taylor Swift's Easter eggs.
So when we talk about Easter eggs, we're talking about these like cool clues and details and references that she hides in these sort of like cryptic messages in her content.
It's sort of a tradition that we started a very long time ago. I think the first time that I started dropping sort of cryptic clues and things in my music was when I was 14 and 15 putting together my first album.
And it is fascinating. I don't know that I've known any other artist that really does this. I'm sure they exist, but they are called Easter eggs. So to the untrained eye or like the non-Swiftie, like you would consume her content, like whatever, listen to her songs, read the lyrics without even really noticing. But for people in the know, like any fan of hers, they're always looking out for these, and she hides them everywhere. Like in what she wears, in the color of her nails, in her lyrics, in jewelry, in social posts, tour staging, in her album rollouts, all sorts of places.
And so that's when it started. But when it got out of control was was when I started to realize that it wasn't just me that had fun with this, that they had fun with it too.
Oh, yeah.
And I should never have learned that, because then I couldn't stop. And then all I started thinking of was, how do I hint at things? Like, how far is too far in advance? Can I hint at something 3 years in advance? Can I even plan things out that far? I think I'm going to try to do it.
She told Marie Claire, I think the best messages are cryptic ones. Easter eggs can be left on clothing or jewelry. This is one of my favorite ways to do this because you wear something that foreshadows something else. And people don't usually find out this one immediately, but they know you're probably sending a message. They'll figure it out in time. She says the art of the Easter egg is that there's do's and don'ts. Like, I'm never going to plan an Easter egg that ties back to my personal life. It's always going to be towards music. Something I'm coming up with, something I have coming up, a plan I have coming together, something that you don't know I'm saying for a specific reason that you'll hear later and you'll go back and be like, oh my God. So in the past, this has looked like capitalizing specific letters in her lyrics to spell out messages. And the messages generally have to do with like the song's meaning, the person who inspired them, or sort of her feelings at the time. It kind of reminds me of like being a little bit like emo when you're younger and posting like cryptic lyrics about like I'm so mad at this boy that like whatever hurt my feelings. I hope he sees it, kind of thing. And an example of this is in the song Outside. She capitalized specific letters for this hidden message, you are not alone. So I thought that was super cool. And she did this on a bunch of like her early albums.
I wanted to do something that incentivized fans to read the lyrics, because my lyrics are what I'm most proud of out of everything that I do, every aspect of my job. So I really wanted people to read the lyrics. Okay. And when I was a kid, I used to leaf through CD booklets and just read the teeny tiny print.
Yeah.
And just obsess over it. And so I wanted to incentivize them.
And she said that her song Look What You Made Me Do has so many clues that she said it'd take fans years to find them all. So she's always thinking about this stuff. And the clues point to what she wants her fans to be paying attention to. And like she said, they often hint at what's coming next. And that could be like a future album, a re-recording, or a new era. And of course, I think part of what makes this easy is she's had so many specific eras where like there was a specific color palette and it was a specific mood. And so she has these like kind of mini brands within her Taylor Swift umbrella that she can refer back to or suggest towards. Like in her music video for the song Delicate, this is so specific. She had pastel nail polish on, and that hinted at the color palette that would define the Lovers era. So it's like the tiniest little things here and there. And the clues also sometimes reference a past era that she is reframing. in the Out of the Woods music video, she's wearing a blue dress. This is how like in the weeds it gets. That blue dress was similar to one she was seen wearing after breaking up with Harry Styles, so it serves as a reference to moving through the breakup and the feelings around it. And more recently, there's this like orange door imagery, and that's symbolizing her stepping into a new era. She told Cosmopolitan, "My fans and I have since descended into color coding, numerology, word searches, elaborate hints, and Easter eggs."
And look, I think that it is perfectly reasonable for people to be normal music fans and to have a normal relationship to music. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole with us, come along.
Taylor is
the
your
water's
person.
Great.
Yeah, the water's
Jump
fine.
in. We're all mad here.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Phyllis, I'm wondering if you are tuned into the Easter eggs or if you have a favorite one. Yeah, what do you think about all of that?
Yeah, no, so that was definitely at the top of my list. You took all the words out of my mouth about this because, I mean, how could you not honor her Easter eggs and talk about eggs at the same time? And we love it. We actually try to do a little bit here and there in our own content just because we think it's so clever. And it's also a masterclass in creating anticipation, right? Like,
yes,
nobody does it better. Even if other artists do teasing and sort of weird drops, no one has mastered it the way she has. I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, I do remember just recently, actually, to your point about Orange and sort of the cue toward Life of a Showgirl, when she was on the podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, when she actually announced her album, right? That's where she announced the launch of her new album. She was wearing orange lipstick, which I'd never seen her wear before. And I was like, what? That's weird. She's wearing orange lip. And then literally she showed the album cover, which is very much, an orange tone to it. So I thought that was an interesting one as well.
She must always be thinking about it anytime she leaves the house, because I feel like she could very easily unintentionally make references to something. I think fans could probably dive into anything and be like, right, oh, is that a clue? But that's so awesome.
Yeah, I think she has such meticulous attention to every detail that it is just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's another good lesson for brands, right? Like, how do you have that meticulous attention to detail and make sure that every aspect, whether it's your visual system or your language, hits on what you want the audience to take away from it?
My first takeaway is just people love clues, and they love searching for clues, and they love puzzles, and they love things like that. And which is tricky in marketing, because like the whole point is not that, right? The whole point is not to like bring you deeper into the story, right? Like a storyteller is like, your whole point is to, immerse them as much as possible, or to just entertain them, I should say. And sometimes that is immersive and sometimes it's not. And sort of there's layers to fandom and there's layers of that sort of stuff. And it reminds me of the podcast episode, as the Royal podcast episode, where sometimes you have a podcast that's 50 minutes, and historically you're like, okay, well, if you have 50 minutes, there's like drop off rates here, and here, and so people will say, well, 20% of people drop off after 45 minutes. So let's just make it 45 minutes. And like 50% of people drop off after this, whatever. And sort of draw, I think, potentially wrong conclusions from those things, which is like, if you were to look at Taylor Swift and you're like, how many people search for the Easter eggs? Maybe it's like 5% of her fans. Maybe it's 1% of the people who listen to her music. I don't know what it is. But those super impassioned fans are the ones who bring it all to everyone's attention. And then all of a sudden there's also this sort of like marketing around like all these Easter eggs that are found. And so I think just back to marketing, where you're trying to get people to sort of like learn about something and to do something and to educate them, right? It's like, hey, I want you to buy more eggs. Sure. But I also but I don't just want you to buy eggs. I want you to enjoy your eggs. So I want you to, make the best possible hard-boiled eggs. And therefore, if that's actually my goal, is to have you enjoy your meal, then it's like, my job isn't just like telling you where to buy eggs or who makes the best ones. My job is to help you, make the best possible hard boiled eggs that, peel really fast and taste great, and are perfect for deviled eggs. And so, what number of, Pete and Gerry's customers are the ones who are making deviled eggs with the eggs? Like, I don't know, but it's still worth going the extra mile for that portion of people that do want that. And like, that is, I think, such an important takeaway, because I think a lot of times, like, we just focus on sort of like the largest number that we can serve, whereas like the smallest number that we can make ecstatic is probably a better way to do it, if you can do that over and over and over again, such that the aggregate is equivalent, right? Or maybe not even equivalent, maybe slightly smaller, but those people tell their friends. And like, that's just better marketing. It's better storytelling. And Taylor can do it all. So it's great. And
that's the key point, though, right? The circle back is the fact that they're doing the work for her then, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones who are saying, I'm going to market you even better, because they all get so engaged and so invested in the story that they then want to retell it.
Yeah. And to the point, it's like the whole show is called Remarkable, our show, because you have to make something that is worth telling someone else about. You have to remark about it to someone else. That's why we're doing this, right? And so my wife's egg recipe is the best egg recipe, because you can peel it, they taste great, and you can peel it super fast. And on this call, I'm like, oh, she puts them in the pot before she turns the heat on, and then she turns it on, and XYZ, and that's how she does it, and it's great. And then Meredith goes, oh man, that's great. I like hard boiled eggs, and I hate peeling stuff, so I'm going to use that. Now, how you even Pete and Gerry's into that story is the secondary thing, but you have to do the first one first. And I think people do the second one first, where they're like, well, we're the best, and like, we taste the best and whatever. But it's like, yeah, but everybody says it tastes the best. But if I can give you the best recipe that actually works, then, hey, Meredith, by the way, we use Pete and Gerry's. Oh, I'm going to buy that too. So it's like that I think is like, it's the A story, B story, and you have to be able to tell both. And one without the other is not as interesting to the audience.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we talk about in the egg world is, how do you create something that's so visually appealing to someone? Like we talk about, I mean, yes, people say food porn all the time, but how do you, all of our photography, all of our imagery, show the yolk, show the darker, sort of more amber colored yolk, show it oozing onto the plate, show the proud white so that it shows that it's a healthy egg, show how hard it is to crack the eggs, because they're very healthy hens that they come from. So all of it is about those cues that translate into it being a more premium, higher quality. And then, to your point, make them want to ask, whose eggs are those? Where do I get those? Because we could sort of, to your point, the thing about storytelling, and what's interesting with even Taylor, it's not about blabbing about yourself all the time. It's about telling a story that people want to listen to and engage in and come back for more, versus, let me just hear you talk about yourself for 20 minutes.
While we're on the subject of food and delicious things, have you ever had Kerrygold butter?
Yes, of course. I mean, butter's a thing right now, right? Everybody's sort of into butter. And it's become one of those topics where, similar to eggs, has now been shown that it's actually healthy for you and you should be eating butter. And I personally think it's one of the best sort of now it's kind of become mainstream in some ways, but it's the best widely available premium butter, I think, out there, except for Nellie's, which is our other brand. We actually have two brands, Pete and Gerry's and Nellie's Free Range. We have a Nellie's Free Range butter, which is also delicious.
Oh, but dang, I haven't tried it.
Yeah, I haven't tried it either. Have to.
But it's not as widely available as Kerrygold.
I got to get on the Nellie's butter. No, I was going to say that for me personally, I just like couldn't believe the difference between this butter, which is like grass-fed cows and like, higher fat and whatever else, compared to like regular, butter that we used to buy. I threw the old stuff out, truly. I was like, I will waste the $5 on this disgusting pale white stick of butter, and I'm tossing it in the trash. It's so much better. I mean, it's like 10 times better. Couldn't possibly, especially like, I mean, it's butter, right? It's like, what are we doing here? This is the best part. You got to make sure you buy the best stuff. And so, I was thinking about that with y'all because I won't shut up about how much better it is to go with, a premium higher fat butter and grass-fed cows and all that. And it's like, that is, and I don't think I've seen any of their marketing or anything like that. But that is sort of like, problem aware, solution aware, right? The problem is other butters taste like crap, which I didn't know that. So then I was like, oh, it turns out this type of butter that is like grass-fed cows and high fat is like amazing. Now we started buying this brand because that's what we had. And, but I don't know their story other than it's like Irish. I don't know anything about it. And I'm just curious how you think about that, because I think that there's a lot of people who think about, hey, I want to have better eggs, better tasting eggs, healthier hens, all those things. But to get your brand side by side with that is also, tends to be difficult.
For sure. In fact, one of the things we've found among consumers in the research that we do, or even just anecdotal conversations we have, is that there is so much confusion because there has been so much proliferation of, first of all, egg brands, but second of all, just the claims and the phrases. I mean, you walk through the egg aisle and it's just like, free range, pasture raised, cage free.
Yeah.
Nature, fresh from the farm, farm bred, like fresh. I mean, why would they not be fresh? And so there's all this stuff that people are bombarded with. And the challenge is you don't want to have a PhD in egg science to be able to just make your weekly purchase. So we have to be able to be as clear and simple and accessible as possible. And one of the things we have found is the biggest source of confusion is the difference between cage free and free range. Like it's such a misperception because they think cage free, which is a pretty popular phrase, means that the hens go outside, and it doesn't. It just means they're not in cages. And so to your point, how do we just hammer home cage free hens don't go outside, free range hens roam free in the pasture? Like that's it. And just get that one thing in people's heads. I mean, you sort of spouted off quickly grass-fed cows, right? So that's stuck in your head and you think, okay, that's a good thing. So we just need one claim to get people to say, okay, free range means they go outside, or pasture raised means they have even more space outside. And then organic means they're eating bugs and worms and grass that's not treated with pesticides. And that's it. And try to get people to not get caught up in everything else that's on there. I mean, even when it says no antibiotics, no hen is treated with antibiotics in the country. Like it's illegal. So why would we anchor? I mean, it does sometimes say that because people care about it, but we're trying really hard to just hone in on the one insight that gets people to associate that benefit with our hens and therefore with our brands. It's challenging though.
Yeah, it is super challenging with Nellie's. I didn't even know about the butter, and I was looking at the website earlier, which now I gotta try it. I think though there's two sort of like competing perhaps ideas there, which is one is this stuff is better, right? Like going to a Taylor Swift concert is objectively better than going to a whoever concert, random artist X. Like it is better, right? The fans are more voracious. Everything she does is over the top. The energy, the excitement, like all that stuff, it is better, right? So you know that you're going to pay a premium for something that's better, and there's lots more demand for it, et cetera. Whereas like her music, people could argue whether or not it's better or not or whatever, and I have no dog in that fight. But music is more or less free, right? So like, and yes, you're probably going to purchase the album, or yes, you're going to do, XYZ, but like very different, right? Behavior, right? And so, yeah, with something like butter where you buy it every week for the rest of your life, or your eggs, like once you find your brand, right? It's like you just stay with that brand. And the reason why I bring up sort of the thing is, if I have seen grass-fed butter probably, I don't know, 50 times in my life, maybe, I don't know. But once I actually tasted what it tastes like, and I'm like, oh, this is objectively way better, then the decision is super easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like all the marketing in the world to get me to that point, had to get me to the point where, I have no idea why we tried it and then it was better. And so anyways, I'm just curious how you think about that, where it's like, hey, we actually have a better product, right? It's like, this is not just marketing speak. It is like trying to get them to understand, like fresh eggs are way better than not fresh eggs, right? For example. So anyways, just curious how you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically talking about trial, right? Like, how do you get people to try it? And, a lot of what we talked about before in terms of just some of the media and the content that we create with recipes. We have an in-house content creator. We call her our eggfluencer. And she actually is, out there showing recipes, showing how to use the eggs, and always emphasizes that the dish is that much better when you use the high quality Pete and Gerry's eggs. And I think it also is, influencer partners that we have who can, provide testimony as to why the eggs are better and why they use them. But it's challenging. And I wish that it were as simple as I tasted it, I liked it, and therefore I always bought it, because it's a very promiscuous category. I mean, people do trade back and forth between brands. They trade back and forth between brands and store labels. They trade back and forth between different levels, whether it's pasture raised or free range or cage free. Part of it's the confusion. Part of it is the segment, right? There's some people who are price sensitive and are going to be driven to or drawn to a cheaper price. And if you have not been paying attention, the prices of eggs have gone all over the place over the past 50
have they ever?
So that also creates a lot of people sort of bouncing around and saying, like, what should I buy? Last year, when we were in the throes of avian influenza in the egg category, and there was a lot of egg shortages on the shelf, people were naturally trying our eggs because we did not get hit by avian influenza. So we had better supply situation. We also didn't change our prices. So what happened was the caged and cage-free segments that got hit by avian influenza, there was such a shortage of supply that automatically the price increased. And in some cases it inverted, where those eggs were more expensive than our eggs because we didn't change our prices. So people were saying, if it's either more expensive or the gap has closed so much in pricing, I'm just going to try these branded ones that say all these wonderful things about being organic or cage or free range or pasture raised. And we got a lot of trial. And then, to your point, once people tried it, they said, wow, these are much better. They actually, first of all, anything I learned about it makes me feel good, because they're treating their hens really well. They're a B Corp, so they're committed to, sustainability. They're committed to treating their employees well. They're committed to their communities and these 350 farms that we exclusively partner with, family-owned farms across the country. So there's that messaging, but it's also, to your point, which is probably more important, is I tasted them. They taste like an egg should. It makes my food taste better. It's actually a more enjoyable experience. To your point about going to a Taylor Swift concert, it's not just for the music, it's for the experience. And you can't help but go there and not have this just massive smile on your face, and you're hugging everybody around you. I've got my friendship bracelets. Like it happens, and you come out of there feeling euphoric. That's the kind of feeling you want when someone experiences your brand or your product. You don't want it to just be transactional and just be like, this is any other egg. You want them to say the overall experience is what keeps me coming back for more.
I got Pete and Gerry's and Nellie's at the Safeway around the corner from my house. We're tapping in, Phyllis.
I'll send you some coupons.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. I am curious, how do you overcome the challenges of sort of not having the direct relationship with customers? Because that's a difficult thing.
Yeah, it's a really good question. You know, that part of what we try to do through marketing, obviously, is create some sort of direct relationship. So our social content is really, I think, on point. The team does a fantastic job of just connecting with to your earlier point about diehard fans, the folks who are going to keep coming back for more. We partner pretty closely with our retail customers because that is the source of where the consumer has their direct interaction. So we do, whether it's in-store signage or we do, through their e-commerce sites, we do, search and display on those sites and try to be clear about the distinction of eggs. For instance, if you go into a Jewel, if you're in Chicago area, there's banners up on the store above the egg aisle that actually we created. It's brand agnostic, but it does say, here's what a cage-free egg is. Here's what a free-range egg is. And it's just very simple language. And if you have an Easter egg eye, Meredith, you will note that the imagery is very similar to the imagery on our cartons. So there's a little bit more illustration. The color coding is a little similar to our cartons. It's subtle, but the point is to get consumers to be smarter and a little more educated, or we like to say educated, so that they're actually making choices that align with their values. But it is a challenge, and it doesn't help either from a measurement perspective, because you can't always do clean attribution of what you're saying in terms of translating it into conversion and into a purchase. But we tap into data as much as possible. We do as much consumer research as possible. We really try to connect as much as possible, and just make sure that the retailers are aligned with what we're trying to accomplish, so that it seems like it's sort of an easy thread to pull. But it's not as straightforward, to your point, as someone who's directly interacting with the consumer on a daily basis.
I think it's worth sort of revisiting the push and pull between sort of like educating your customer versus like not trying. And like, it seems like, to your point, the cage-free thing is something that stuck in I honestly didn't even think about it. So this year, and I think about marketing constantly. I don't know if there's like, a total like leader in the space or anything like that in terms of like someone owns cage free, or if this is like a term that has just become so popular. But yeah, there's always that fear that like, there's the person who pays to educate the market and then the person who comes and takes the market sort of thing.
Right.
And it's like, if you spend all your efforts saying like, don't eat cage free. I don't know if you ever watched Arrested Development. Tobias trying to get everyone to know his name around the water cooler, so he keeps saying his like last name around the water cooler, and then comes into the job interview and he says his first name. It's like, this Funke guy, and he's like, what's your name? Tobias. Anyways, that's kind of what I think of, right? It's like you spend all this time and effort telling everyone like, don't eat cage, not you personally, but like, don't eat cage free, and then it doesn't necessarily leave room for sort of the alternative. So I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, what you're touching on is a really, really critical point within the egg space right now, because we spend a lot of time educating that and try to get people to trade up from cage free to free range. And Nellie's is kind of our gateway to premium brands, it's our free range brand, and its price point is a little more accessible, and it's kind of friendly, and it's purple with a little girl on the carton. It's just a very friendly, inclusive brand and nurturing kind of brand. But to your point, if everyone's so focused on, okay, therefore I just need to be no free range, like that's the cue, then private label can swoop right in, right? And private label cuts across every grocery category, and you can look at ceilings of private, like some categories private label is really highly penetrated and others it's not. And you have to figure out, how you then compete against them. Because if they're saying free range and we're saying free range, then what do you rest on as
That's
your
right.
differentiation? Costco's a case study galore about Kirkland and the private label there, and people use Kirkland's not even, I don't even think of it as a private label anymore. It's become,
it's really not. That's a great point.
yeah. So, but that's a challenge because they also undercut you significantly on pricing. So then you have to be able to say, okay, here are the brand values. These are the reasons why you should choose us. We have better traceability and we have sourcing to our family farms. You're not going to hear that. We have expertise in the egg category and how to take care of hens the best way, how to feed them the best way. But to your point, like nobody has time, or there's like people don't think about eggs day in and day out, except for me. So then why, how do you get all of that across versus a free range, this one's $1 cheaper, right? So it's one of those big conundrums in space, and all of grocery or anywhere is the private label challenge.
Boy, is it. Well, I mean, and to circle back to the Swifties, right? It's like she is one of one. Her concerts are one of one. Like you could say, there's Beyonce or something. Beyonce is also one of one. Also, her concerts are ridiculous. Like, it's like, I guess in theory, maybe if you have whatever $1,500 and you're like, should I do Taylor Swift or Beyonce this year? Like maybe that is a decision for certain people. But I would imagine that the crossover between the two, it's like you just do both. If you're that type of person or whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyways, but it's just probably not competition sort of like in that way, which is obviously different from like
maybe retail. Another way to think about it is this summer there was a Taylor Swift impersonator coming to a amusement park near where I live, and I asked my daughter if she wanted to go see her because I was like, we might as well go, it's free. We can just go to the amusement park. My daughter's 24, by the way, now. So, she was like, why would I do that? I've actually seen the real thing 4 times. And that's similar to your point. And I was like, okay, well, I was just trying to come up with something for us to do together, but that's okay.
Fine.
You had a point.
Fine. I guess we're going to the farm.
You can play with chickens instead.
That's right. Yeah, it's just the importance of story, right? Well, and then, I didn't even work this into our run of show today, but talking about having butter under the Nellie's brand, which is, everyone knows Nellie's is free range eggs, and then all of a sudden now, you have butter as well. It's brand confusion. Although, if they trust one, they would trust the other.
Yeah, you would hope. We haven't really done a lot of support on the Nellie's butter, and I think it's an opportunity for us for growth perspective. But and not every store that carries Nellie's butter carries Nellie's eggs, and not every store that carries Nellie's eggs carries Nellie's butter. And most stores don't merchandise butter and eggs right next to each other. So there's just all these intricacies of it that make it challenging. But it is good butter. I would recommend it.
We're going to try it after this. We've been eating a lot of butter in the Faison household lately. We had like 6 pieces of toast this morning. I had kids running all over with toast. Bread and butter, very popular. I'll Instacart it right now by the end of this call. Any other thoughts on Taylor Swift and marketing takeaways?
The one thing that I think is also, and Meredith, you touched on this too, when you talked about the errors, is that even though she has these different errors, and I've gotten a chance to go see 4 of them, there's always this sort of common thread, and she kind of it's kind of reminds me of campaigns from a marketing perspective. Like you can come up with different campaigns, but they all need to ladder up into your overall brand story and brand message, and be mutually reinforcing and internally consistent. because you don't want someone who is that super brand fan to be like, wait, that's kind of off. I don't get that. And then, the powers that be go crazy. And I think that that's really interesting about her. The other thing that I think is really cool is that she has evolved amazingly over the past 20 years, let's say, of her career. Yes. To think about how she has recreated herself in so many different ways, yet there's this common thread of just staying committed and writing and engaging with her fans and being really giving back to them in a way that's really powerful. And that is, marketing. What discipline hasn't evolved as much as marketing? Like, it is just insane how much. And she taps into all these new tools and mechanisms and technologies, and even like business practices, whether, when she created her Taylor version and bought back all of her content. That is something that you have to do in marketing too. You're constantly taking advantage of new approaches and new mechanisms and new ways of reaching customers, but you still need to stay true to who you are as a brand and what you stand for and what got you to where you are, yet still embracing a future and how the market's evolving. So to me, that's an interesting parallel with her.
Excellent.
You're holding on to that one.
Yeah.
We're never done with egg puns.
Yeah.
I was thinking too about how she's like weathered she's had some bad, like some dark times too, and come through those. And
that's experience.
Yeah.
Haven't we all though, Meredith?
We have. I think that's also why like people love her music, is because she lets it out in her music.
They can identify with her.
Mm-hmm.
So is the egg industry,
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've had some dark times.
I think it's the number one bird on earth, right? I think there's more chickens than any other bird on earth. Something like that.
That might be true. Yeah. Did you know that they descend from dinosaurs?
I do know that. We went to this, there's this really great museum in the Bay Area, and we were in the museum, and the docent comes over and she's like, have you ever heard of the movie Jurassic Park? We're like, yeah. It's like, do you know the scene where they're walking around, surrounded by stainless steel? We're like, yeah. And she's like, those are velociraptors, and they're descended from chickens, and they're actually the size of a chicken. And I was like, you could have just said velociraptor. Like, every single person in America knows what a velociraptor is.
The lead up was what created anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine farm fresh velociraptor eggs? Oh.
Well, one of our ads from a couple of years ago was called Almost the Wildest Eggs You Can Get. And it was when we launched pasture raised, because we wanted to tap into that notion of wild and out in the pasture and out in the wild. So it was about, these are the wildest eggs you can get. And then someone, well, what could be wilder? And it literally shows these funny scenes of this woman trying to steal an egg out of an eagle's nest, or this woman being chased by an ostrich while she's trying to steal one of her eggs, or this man who's trying to steal alligator eggs. And it's very funny. And so the whole point was like, no, I'll stick with the Pete and Gerry's eggs. But it was very much to tap into that notion of, this is how our hens are raised out in the wild.
Phyllis, wonderful having you on the show. For our audience, go to peteandjerrys.com. Go find use the find in store, put your zip code in there, go find some eggs, or get some Nellies. Any final thoughts? Anything to plug?
No, I would say that if you're going to go look for Pete and Gerry's, our newest launch is our pasture raised organic. It's this bright blue box. Those eggs are phenomenal. Not that all of our eggs aren't phenomenal, but definitely give those a try.
Yeah. If you crack an egg and it's like bright yellow, throw it in the trash. You want that deep orange yolk. You know what I mean? Maybe don't throw it in the trash. Still eat it. Don't waste food. But you know what I'm saying. Next time. Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining the show, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.